everyone. Today I wanted to give you a brief overview of the passport program for the National Park Service in the United States. And I really wanted to talk about what to do when you miss your stamp. Long story short, don't panic. I just wanted to kind of share my own personal journey with the passports so that maybe it could help somebody out. I had visited over 30 national parks before I even knew about the passport program. Anyways, my son had been to 5 or so when I learned about them, so I ended up tracking down my son's visits. And I got my kids their own passport, so when they grow older, they can take it with them versus having a family passport that we might fight over one day. You might see them called cancellations. I just tend to call them stamps. The National Park Service sells multiple kinds of passports. We have the Classic Edition. It's a nice little small passport, but there's a collector's edition. There's a Junior Ranger passport. So there's different passports that are organized a little differently. The Classic Edition is organized by region, and the stamp colors match the region where the park is located. And this is not just for national parks, this is for all the sites managed by the National Park Service, which there's over 400. It's your national parks, but it's also your national battlefields, your national seashores, your national historic sites, and more. And there's a place in the Classic Edition for the sticker sets. Every year the Park Service features a few parks. You can put that in there as well. It's really a fun way to track your travels. You can purchase these online, or you can just visit your local visitor center managed by the National Park Service, and they sell these items. I live in southwestern Pennsylvania, so for those local to me, you can purchase these at Fort Necessity National Battlefield, Friendship Hill National Historic Site, and the Flight 93 National Memorial. Traditionally, when you visit a park, you could just go into the visitor center and get your stamp. But let's talk about why you might have missed your stamp. Maybe the visitor center was closed when you visited, maybe you forgot your book, maybe you just forgot to get your stamp. Could be a variety of reasons. For my son's passport, I had 5 or so parks to track down to get us caught up. I ended up calling the parks to see how to go about it. Some of them took my information, and some of them requested that I send a letter. Since I was sending a letter to one park, I ended up just sending a letter to all the parks. And I wrote a brief letter for what I needed, and then I put it in an envelope, and in that envelope I also put a self-addressed stamped envelope, so they can send the stamps back to our home. And I'll talk about what I put in the letter. I also wanted to share a big tip that I learned along the way, and that is the stampable stickers that the National Park Service sells. This was a big one for me. But before I learned about the stickers, I sent my letters and ended up getting the stamps back on pieces of paper. And I was just about to cut them up and tape them in the book when I came to learn about the stampable stickers. It's easy to get a little particular about this, and I did. So instead of having the book, clumped up with tape, I decided to resend all my letters, including the stampable stickers in the envelope, so that I would get the stamps on the sticker, and I can just add those to the book. And I'm really happy with how it feels. The passport is a lot cleaner. I don't know why you couldn't include just a regular label if you wanted to. Now that I've discovered the stampable sticker, I actually prefer to use this method. That way, the passport can stay at home and there's less chance of me misplacing it. Or maybe we're gonna visit and it's gonna be rainy and we don't want our passport to get soaked. So in the letter, the first thing you wanna talk about is what stamp you need. That would just be for the park. For example, I need a stamp for Hot Springs National Park. But what we came to learn is that some of the parks have some extra stamps. Hot Springs National Park also has a stamp for Fordyce Bathhouse. At Flight 93 National Memorial, you can get a stamp for the memorial, but there's also a second stamp for the Tower of Voices. Depending on what you send them, they might just include that for you, or you can call the parks ahead of time to see what stamps they offer, and you can request which ones you want specifically. In your letter, you also want to include the date that you visited, and if it's been a long time, maybe the Park Service doesn't have the stamper for that date, and you could tell them if you don't have the stamp for that date, you could leave it blank, you could write your own in. You also want to indicate how many stamps you want, and if you want them stamped on a particular surface, like the stampable sticker, include that information too. For example, please stamp 2 stamps on the stampable sticker for Zion National Park on August 12th, 2018. It's a good idea to just leave your contact information if they have questions, and some of them did. We sent the letter and then they started rolling in pretty promptly, and now we're all caught up. At least my kids are caught up. So now that I know how easy the process is, I might go back and track down my visits. I haven't decided. This was just my experience, so if you have anything to contribute, please comment. I hope you found this information helpful. I hope you get your stamps. You can find more information on my website. We'll see ya. Bye.